Hey, Brian Miller here, and thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode of Thursday Thoughts on the Beyond Networking podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice I am wearing a hoodie, my hair is pulled back and doesn't look terribly great, and I'm a little low energy today. And that's because our almost 4-month-old son had, I think, his first sleep regression and kept us up all night over and over and over again after I worked a 10 or 12 hour day that concluded with a long 90-minute virtual workshop. So I am a little low energy, and I was going to put on, I was going to take off my Mickey Mouse hoodie and put on a nice button down and get my hair right. But I realized I was about to do an episode about having a baby and some advice I got about having a baby. And so you know what? This is me today. This is what we're talking about. Let's discuss past performance, future results, how to predict, and how to prepare. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Why do all financial investors list that disclaimer? It's because no matter how much they've studied the past, plotted the trends, or observed nearly identical market conditions in previous years, there's absolutely no way of knowing for sure what's coming next. Thinking about the future is somewhat paradoxical, right? On one hand, we can reasonably expect certain outcomes based on previous observations. Never once in your life have you gone to sit down in a chair and crashed to the floor instead because unbeknownst to you, that chair was actually a hologram, right? And because that's never happened to you in the thousands or hundreds of thousands of times you've sat in a chair, you don't feel the need to check each chair for being a non-hologram before you sit. On the other hand, there's no guarantee that next time won't be the first time you encounter a hologram chair. No guarantee whatsoever. And in that sense, the future is always poised to catch us off guard. If you could predict an unpredictable event, it wouldn't be unpredictable. Now, I've spoken about, written about a lot this past year, my wife and I going through her first pregnancy when COVID hit, and having the year we had always envisioned, a mix of friends' experiences and Hollywood expectations ripped away. For instance, we never got to walk through a baby store. She never had a stranger excitedly go, "Oh my gosh, congratulations," right? She never hugged her mother while pregnant. And just 6 days before our baby boy, Milo, was born, I was giving a virtual keynote address. My host's wife was also due in just 2 weeks, but it was their second baby while it was our first. After the program, I asked him, "Listen, this baby could be here any day now. Do you have any last-minute advice before we start this crazy adventure?" Josh, my host, said to me, "Parent the baby in your arms, not the one in your head." And it was the world's best answer. Right? A lifetime's worth of expectations combined with 9 months of reading baby books and an imagination run wild had established a fairly concrete image of what becoming a father was going to be like. But in reality, I had absolutely no idea what the future would hold. So let's think about your next interaction. I'm a big advocate of preparation, right? My TEDx coaching clients memorize their speeches word for word. Too much grumbling, by the way. Some of my clients worry that they're going to end up sounding robotic by memorizing their speech. I say, memorizing is only the beginning. Amateurs practice until they get it right, but professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. I have them rehearse dozens, sometimes hundreds of times, literally, until they aren't merely reciting a memorized script, but simply conversing with the audience. We practice all the way through memorization until the presentation is internalized, until it's a part of them. Is it because I'm trying to control the future? No, not at all. It's so that when the unpredictable happens, as it undoubtedly will, they possess the confidence and the poise to roll with it. Give the TEDx talk you get, not the one in your head, as it were. And so people are predictably unpredictable, if that makes sense, right? So it is with human connection. The next interaction you have, be it virtually or in person, will not go the way you imagined. Human beings have too many variables to predict with any measure of accuracy how someone will react to our conversations or prompts or questions or merely even our presence. which doesn't mean you can't plan for the next interaction, right? Whether it's a stranger or a loved one, we can certainly imagine different ways that interaction might play out or how we would adapt or react to different scenarios. That's why folks love the 7 Ways to Open a Conversation with Anyone resource that you can get at humanconnection.blog. Right? At the very least, we can remove the variability from our end of the interaction by showing up with kindness and generosity to offer the gift of connection to another person. But how they choose to receive or reject that gift, it's not for us to say, and certainly not for us to predict. So next time you're having an interaction with a friend, colleague, prospect, client, loved one, or stranger that isn't going how you imagined or hoped it might, remember, engage in the conversation you're having, not the one in your head. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Thursday Thoughts. Thanks so much for tuning in. And very, very shortly, in just a week or two, season 4 of the Beyond Networking podcast will finally launch. It is all about the year of the pivot, stories from incredible people and organizations all over the world, artists, freelancers, small business owners, nonprofit founders, and executive directors who made a monumental shift in response to the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 in order to continue pursuing their mission and keep the business alive. Incredible stories from people all over the world that will blow your minds and help you figure out how to develop more resiliency for yourself, how to be creative and adaptive, and be able to make the next pivot that life throws at you better and more effectively than whatever you've done in the past. Having said that, thanks so much for sticking with me. My name is Brian Miller. Always remember, our world is a shared experience. Every interaction is meaningful, and every person you meet, even virtually, is important. And we'll see you soon.